Here I am with Charles, Tavish, and myself. We're doing the Open Library community call, and Charles is going to take us through the process of launching openlibrary.org via Docker. Take it away.
Okay. Available on GitHub at this URL here. You can see that, Mick. So the README, welcome to the new Docker-based Open Library development environment. The first steps are you need to build the three images. We have OL base, which is a base image that is sort of the minimal requirements to get Open Library running. And then on top of that, you subsequently build OL dev, which has some extra pieces to actually make development and testing a little bit easier. So this is the image you will actually use, but it requires this to be built first. So there are these three images you have to build. The last one is OL Solar, which is our Solar instance, which is a lighter image, which is quicker to build. So they take a while to download. For this demo, I will not download the full Ubuntu images and watch all that install. That'll take a while, but I've done that previously. So if we switch to my command line, if I go Docker images, you will see I have a range of images there, but we have OL dev, OL base, and OL solar that I made a couple of weeks ago. So the starting point is inside the Docker directory. So I go cd docker, and this has the various Docker files that we have here. 3 Docker files and a Docker compose file which contains the setting. So the instruction we run after we've done the build, actually to run the build you would just copy and paste these into your command line. But you'll do that on your own. I will not do it for this demo. So once that is done, we go Docker compose and Docker compose up. So it uses the images that you've created to create the containers, Docker Web, Docker Solar, and those are the two main ones at the moment. Actually, we'll have more images coming shortly, which is exciting. And you get the logging in your console here, so you can see what's happening. Postgres is starting up here. It's accepting connections. Sometimes that takes a while to go. You'll see logging occurring and it'll notify you when it's ready. It's running the import process to get some data in there, which is part of the OL dev image. So I'll just wait for this to finish. You'll see it all happening. That's Web 1, which is the Open Library web server. You see it responding as connections are made to it. That's probably enough stuff happening. There we go. There we go. Solar's indexing those. So if you go to, actually I'll close that, I'll open a new tab and we go to 0.0.0.0 colon port 8080. So this is a local Open Library instance. Takes a little while for the first access. And here we go. So this is our locally running Open Library. And we can search for something. I know in the data there is books by Mark Twain. The auto search is working. So there we go. This is our locally hosted Open Library with books by Mark Twain. And that's really the bulk of it.
So Charles,
should be quite straightforward.
If we make changes to the Open Library repository, what is the process for rebuilding the repository using Docker? How do we make changes and restart?
Right, so if you're coding away, it is set up to auto refresh. So if you edit one of the Python files, it will auto reload. if you are editing CSS or JavaScript, you will probably need to rebuild the assets, which is done by a make all. So actually, yeah, we can show you. If you want to open a new command line in the image, you go docker compose web exec bash. Oops. Sorry. Exec. Docker compose exec web bash. Sorry, web is the image. Bash is what you want to get a command line. So now I'm inside the running container, and I can go say, I'll use this to run tests. So you can go make test. It's running the npm tests, which is an open issue that we need to fix at the moment. Sorry.
Or you could also do make CSS.
Yes, so we go make CSS, and that will rebuild the CSS assets if you've made a change, and similarly make JS. So the error we saw on test was we've got the wrong version of npm in there, and that's coming soon. But you can run the Python test there. You can run PyTest for anything and run Python tests.
So if we run make CSS or make JS after bash execing into the image, then that should appear on the website after a refresh?
After a refresh, yes. So to refresh, you can just go back to the window you have Docker running. You can hit Control-C, and it will just gracefully stop everything. It'll take a little bit of time to bring everything down. Stopping Docker Webs, stopping Docker Solar. To close it, you Docker Compose. Yeah, so we stop it, and then we can go Docker Compose up, and it will refresh the containers from the images. So this is a clean start. It runs through everything again and rebuilds your database.
Do we need to rebuild everything for CSS and JS changes?
Actually doing this, running Docker Compose up will automatically rebuild your JS and CSS. And this Docker Compose file automatically mounts your local development directory as well. So you have access to all the code, the latest code that you're working on.
But in general, if we just want to refresh our JS and CSS, we can exec bash on the web image and then make CSS and then just refresh the 000:8080 and it should show up.
Yes. Yep.
Brilliant. Any other?
No, I think that's really how simple it is to use. It should be that simple. If anyone has any problems, please reach out to us on GitHub and raise issues, or we have a Gitter channel that's linked to from the repo as well on the README. We will try and respond to those quickly. We're still moving the rest of the services to dedicated Docker containers, Docker images.
At the time of recording, I think that Memcache is being moved into its own
yes.
image.
Hopefully that'll be in today. That's a pull request we've had from a community volunteer, and that looks good. So there'll be another image to add, but the process will be similarly just run through building the various images, and then it should run.
Charles, thank you so much for demoing our Docker build, and hopefully people use Docker instead of Vagrant moving forward. And as you hit issues, especially on Windows, that's one area where we're trying to improve our instructions. We look forward to your issues, and thanks for checking out Open Library and contributing with us. Cheers.
Thank you.